COT's base of operations is right here at thecounciloftime.com. COT has no other outlet or venue. These are other folks who will rebroadcast. Anything COT does is by the main page here at thecounciloftime.com. Let's see, let me get some volume here going. Good evening, everybody. You all doing okay? Very good. Very, very, very good. Very good. Well, where is everybody today? Where are you guys at today, mentally? You guys okay? I'm going to gauge this carefully. You're going to determine what direction this conversation goes. That you will. That you will. You know, guys, I find it surprising that with all the time, the progression of people, we still have a lot to work through. As a nation, we do. As seeing the world in a way that is good for everybody. We have a lot of work to do in that area. We do. But I will say this, some people are really making some pretty big steps. They are. I cannot say that for institutions that continue to fall apart. I wouldn't want to be up there in their shoes, would you guys? Would you want to be one of these individuals who is set in one of these kingdoms with the responsibility of adding balance, speaking for constituents, which are people that you represent, and solving issues that are almost unsolvable? And of course, the fight gets worse and worse in the White House. I'll tell you something. I don't see, if people would apply their faith to their work ethic, then we would see some folks come across the aisle and begin to work with each other. What would it take for that to happen? What would it take? I'll tell you what it's going to take. Because you're in this nation, and God's children are in this nation, and other nations. Our Father is involved. A shake-up. A shake-up. Somebody says no Trump. Well, you know, for all of you who don't really like Trump, you know, I don't want to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you this. I can almost guarantee if we last long enough, you'll look back on this day and say, I wish we had someone like Trump. I know it seems out there ironic. That's what you'll say. People have their opinions, but I will caution everybody that if you don't know a person individually, leave the morality, separate that from what you evaluate, right? There are times, I'm a nice guy. I am a nice guy. But there are some folks who I had to deal with for a few hours, and they'll tell you I was a bulldog, an unmovable rock who wouldn't bend for anything. That's what they'll tell you. In fact, that's totally outside of my character. So sometimes when you employ a specific work ethic for a specific goal, you're going to be viewed in skewed ways. All right? Skewed ways. We can't. It's not good to keep that evaluation of a person. One of the rules I live by in life is this. If I don't know them personally, I can only evaluate their professional position, right? And if I evaluate, it's going to be with a solution. Criticism without a solution is foolishness. It's nothing more than a complaint. Criticism has a solution. That's why criticism is often used, not to degrade a person, but to find a solution. If I was doing something that was not working, I would invite someone to criticize and say, hey, this is not working, but what do you think about this? Right? But this world, people have gotten in a habit of criticizing. Halfway, they leave the other part off. They have no solutions. They're just complaining. And our Father does not want us to complain. Plus, you're royalty. Why would you complain? Right? Why would a person complain when they're royalty? I know some of you don't feel like you're royal. How many people do not feel like royalty? Anybody out there? Well, our Father said we're not going to feel like royalty. That's what he said. We're not going to feel that way. That's what Jesus said too. In fact, we're going to feel like throwaways, which is normal. That's normal, right? That's very normal. Normal. I'm going to read something real quick because I like reading it. I do. I like reading this one thing because all of us we're going somewhere. We determine where we're going, but we're after something. Time for that something to also come near to us. Remember this one statement today. If you forget everything else, remember this. When you search for the living God will get closer and closer to you. You draw near to him, he'll draw near to you. Stay there. Don't draw near and back off. Stay there. Stay there. Remember that before I read this. Also, I want this to be an interactive day. We have bad storms coming, right? Very bad storms. Bad storms with a temperature flip. That's also happening, which is going to be devastating. And we have to prepare ourselves for 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now, there's a development. You're not going to hear about it until another week. There's a weather development, which is dangerous. Very dangerous. I mean, critically dangerous. So in about a week and a half from now, make sure that you're watching the weather, that you're watching everything. The weather is going to do some things that none of us like. Nevertheless, these things must take place. Weather is becoming quite brutal. Fires likewise. Please be prepared for those things. Be prepared, please. Please don't ignore the forecasts. Don't ignore them. Keep yourselves aware of it. Hopefully you can do that. Part of our interaction today will be because we're talking about alignment in faith, which I believe is a very important topic. If a person had faith, would they ever be upset? If a person really utilized their faith, would they be upset? How would we know unless we are daily, moment to moment, exhausting our faith? I tell you this, there's nothing like trusting in the Most High. Think of the worst case scenario you guys can possibly think of. Thank you, Lord Jesus. I'll tell you, if you can trust in the Most High, if you can place your trust in the Most High, I mean, really trust him. And if we can not micromanage everything, begin to take our hands off those things we have no power to change, your life would follow suit. If we could trust him. How do you put yourself in a position to trust the Most High? Well, that's living your life by faith. Now, truthful question, can anybody answer? How does one live their life by faith? What does that actually mean, to live your life by faith? What does that mean? We know that Jesus said right? Walk by faith and not by sight. So he gave us a comparison. To walk by sight would be to walk how? And of course, walking means living your life by sight. I'll give you a small example. To live your life by sight is for you to make adjustments in your life and to make decisions in your life based upon what you see, what you evaluate, what you pick up on, right? So if you see some bad news, of course, you make adjustments in your life real quick for the bad news. If you perceive something coming, you make adjustments in your life and you start living your life a little differently, possibly to avoid whatever that was that's bad. It's all about flesh. It's all about what you see, what you can touch, what you can hear. If you live your life like that, you're going to be making adjustments all throughout your life. What about the person that lives their life by faith? How do you live your life by faith? How do you live your life by faith? Example. Suppose you see devastations all throughout the USA. But the Lord said that he would supply all of your needs according to his riches and glory. The other person next to you does not walk by faith. They don't live their life by faith. So they go and gather up all of what they can gather up unto themselves. They spend everything they have gathering everything up unto themselves. You, on the other hand, because you had no internal confirmation, you're living your life by faith. The Lord says to stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. So that's what you do. Because you don't know if you should go out and get supplies this time. In fact, there are no assurances on the length or the breadth of the storm. So you wait upon the Lord. Then the storm comes. It's a vicious storm, and you begin to doubt your own steps. You start thinking, oh, did I make the right decision? The Bible says to wait upon the Lord. Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. You've done everything possible within your means to do, but this other person has taken out a loan, sold everything they had to get supplies for the storm. 2 hours pass. The storm is still raging. 4 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, the storm is still going. And at this point, you can hear the walls in your house creaking. You're starting to think you messed up. You're starting to think that you were deceived somehow. But then all of a sudden, right, the other guy talks to you. He's talking to you. He's laughing at you. See, you should have prepared like me. You should have prepared like me. I told you it was coming. You should have prepared. You start feeling bad. You start feeling the pressure and the weight of making a bad decision, that it could affect somebody else, that you did something below standard. You're not protecting your family because you didn't prepare. But the truth was, you did all of what you could do, and you did it according to faith. And the Lord still, to this moment, has given you no internal confirmation of any danger or anything else. But then all of a sudden, in the 13th hour, 14th hour, 15th hour, the storm abruptly changes course. You had the winds, but you did not have the rains. Then it dissipates and goes away. You're thankful. You're jumping up and down thankful. You go outside to inspect your house. Minimal damage. Nothing you can't fix yourself. And you're relieved. And you say, thank you, Lord. The other guy is crying because he spent everything he had, because he thought this was it. This is the big one. That's what he thought. And so by way of logic, he did what he had to do outside of his means to prepare for everything he could. But it zapped him of his finances. You, however, are joyful. Everything is still intact. You didn't overreact. And now you're going to trust in the Lord even more. Why? Because you finally went through something trusting in him, and you did not back out of that trust. Because you felt the weight of messing up. You thought you messed up, but the Lord came through. Now, before you say, okay, cute story, do you know this is a real story? It happens all the time in different ways. Do you know how many people right now are rushing to avoid those people, those things from space or something like that? Do you know how many people have built underground bunkers? They are spending trillions of dollars preparing for something. But your Father in heaven didn't put you in a position to spend trillions of dollars, nor billions, nor millions for most of you. So you have no choice but to just wait and see what takes place. Because the Lord put you in a position where you have to live within the confines of your provision. And the provisions he gave you is enough to take care of the day. All this time, with all these storms, with all these threats, all these years, you're still there. You're still there. But I can't say that for those who have spent massive amounts of money on bunkers. When the numbers came back in 2023 of those who have built underground bunkers, and the rains came, listen to me carefully, there were so many people who built these underground facilities. But the rains came starting in 2018, heavy. They began to build, and the rains were flooding everything. Do you not know that the majority of these folks had built these underground facilities? They filled up with mud. Mud hardens and becomes concrete. Very difficult to get out. Many of these people lost just about everything. They acted out of fear. Fear. They justified them. You guys remember the broadcasts. You guys remember all the talk of everybody talking about something was imminent. To go and get everything you have right now is the message they have every time something happens. Nothing wrong with that, but if you don't have internal confirmation, you can't trust it, can you? Those of you who believe in Christ, your Father has done something different with you. If something were to ever happen like that, the entire body of Christ would go without one or two, but the entire body of Christ. That means if I ever woke up with some sort of unction to do something right away, you would have it too. You may not be able to articulate or define it, but when it's spoken, you can confirm it. If you cannot confirm it, and you actually do believe in the Lord, then whatever it is probably did not come from the Lord. See, collectively, we have a safety net if we live our lives by faith. Now, in those small things, when we do decide to follow the Word of God and we start getting through these crises, you develop a trust most people do not have. That's why people panic. People get upset. You cannot get upset if you trust in the Most High. How could a person get upset if they trust in the Lord? Name any scenario. Any scenario. And if you believe and trust in the Most High, you will not get upset. We only get upset when we start having these questions inside. But if we utilize the Word of God, living our lives by faith, you won't have the stresses you may have right now. Well, let's go ahead and face it. We need some training for that. Practice with that. Collective practice. Encouragement from others. Somebody says 50 years of crisis here. Well, I think that the majority of people, many people have gone through phases like that. Nothing to be ashamed about. It's just something we have to be attentive to. See, now we're in a season. We're in a season right now that's unlike any other. It's not like the other seasons. All of you know that. From the government to the rest of the formations of the world, we are not in normal times. In fact, we're in fulfillment times. I think that everybody in their spirit, they have this internal knowing. They don't know how, but we are not in the days we left behind us. The days we live in now, there's no promise of too many days ahead. I personally believe that's why everybody combs through the news on a daily basis, because they're looking to justify what they're sensing on the inside. They know something is going to happen. They don't know what. Tell me if this is true or false. There's an idea in your heads that one day you're going to read the news and it would have happened. It will have taken place. Anybody have that knowing in them? That one day you're going to look at the news, you're going to hear something, it's going to happen one day. You're going to look in there and see something you really did not want to see. It would have happened. In fact, when you start thinking along those lines, you get a bit nervous because you start thinking about the seriousness of your walk of faith, the seriousness in the relationship with Christ. You begin to self-evaluate to see if you're in a right position or not. And then when you try your hardest to be normal, right? I'm going to hold my fingers up, quote unquote, be normal. You're snatched back. You're pulled back. Something happens in the world that gets your attention. And it causes you to sit up straight. You'll say, oh, no time for normalcy here. We're close to something. I don't know when. I don't know how. But it's like everybody's pointing fingers. You don't know what they're pointing at, but you know one day something is going to be there. Something is going to take place. And it's going to be a doozy. You guys remember a long time ago, we used to warn people the Lord was coming. People were less refined back then. Little ambitious, yes. Right? But you would talk about what was coming. But there was an excitement. There was a crazy excitement that was totally unjustified within us. Like we were raving lunatics. Who gets excited about a bunch of death? We didn't think about that part. We didn't think of the reality of what we were excited about. People used to say, oh, let it come. Let destruction come. Let this come. Let that come. And then the Lord took all of us on a journey. He made you face some of that destruction, some of the hardships, some of the adversity. And when you felt what it felt like, oh, that's when people stopped saying, oh, let the carnage come. You know, we didn't do that. You're mature now. You understand that people are going to endure something that is extremely difficult to endure. You understand that people are not going to make it. And there are specific reasons why they won't make it. But they won't. You know that time is coming. You don't know how long it's going to take. You don't know what the duration of the crisis will be, but you know it's coming. You know that one day you will have seen it. Even right now in the world, how many of you look at what's happening in the world and you say, there's no way this is real? something is wrong with this. Something is wrong everywhere. What is this? This is uncertainty. Uncertainty. These are times of fulfillment. And prophecy is opening up just like the Lord told us. Now, I have to ask you guys something. Are you guys familiar with the books of Esdras? Are you guys familiar with that? I know a lot of people have not read that before. Are you guys familiar with Esdras? Anybody? I'm nosy, right? So I haven't looked into things like that, but I find that to be a very eye-opening book. I do. Now, if you're a religious person, meaning you possibly are holier than thou, right? You may not be familiar with it. I don't like saying that. Too many people have used that. But you guys know where I'm coming from. I believe the Lord has given people prophecies that match the Old and New Testament perfectly. Perfectly. I do. When you start reading some of these books, you can't help but to be amazed at what's in there. You can't help. I remember the first time I went through Esdras, and it was confirmation after confirmation, after confirmation after confirmation. It was just absolute confirmation all throughout that book. It was amazing. So, I'm going to read a couple things out of Esdras. I'm going to read that to you guys. I want you guys to be familiar with some of the things in there. Just some, not all. Right? Not all, not yet. Not all, not yet. We have to have context and much deeper studies. I'm going to read this. I'm going to read some of this to you guys. And I want you to see for yourselves, just in case you have not read it. Okay? Just in case. And it came to, this is 2 Esdras 13, chapter 13. Just in case you want to know. 2 Esdras, chapter 13. Just in case you want to know. Just in case you'd like to see that. Actually, let me back up. Let me go back to chapter, I'm going to go back to chapter 5, okay? I'm going to go back to chapter 5, all right? Let's go back to chapter 5. Let me read chapter 5 first. So, an angel is talking to Esdras, and he says, "Nevertheless, as the coming tokens, behold, the days shall come, but they which dwell upon the earth shall be taken in great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. But iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. And the land that thou seest now to have root, shalt thou see wasted suddenly. But if the Most High grant thee to live, thou shalt see after the third trumpet, that the sun shall suddenly shine again in the night, and the moon thrice in a day. And blood shall drop out of wood, and stone shall give his voice, and people shall be troubled. And even he shall rule whom they look not for that dwell upon the earth. And the fowls shall take their flight away together. And the sodomish sea shall cast out fish, and make a noise in the night which many have not known, but they shall all hear the voice thereof. There shall be confusion also in many places, and the fire shall be oft sent out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places, and menstruous women shall bring forth monsters, and salt waters shall be found in the sweet, and all friends shall destroy one another. Then shall wit hide itself, and understanding withdraw itself into her secret chamber, and shall be sought of many, and yet not be found. Then shall unrighteousness and incontinency be multiplied upon the earth. One land also also shall ask another and say, Is righteousness that maketh a man righteous gone through thee? And it shall say, No. At that time shall men hope, but nothing obtain. They shall labor, but their ways shall not prosper. To show thee such tokens, I believe. And if thou wilt pray again, and weep as now, and fast even days, thou shalt hear yet greater things. Then I awakened. An extreme fearfulness went through all my body, and my mind was troubled, so that it fainted. So the angel that was come to talk with me held me, comforted me, and set me upon my feet. And in the second night it came to pass that Salathiel, the captain of the people, came unto me, saying, Where hast thou been? And why is thy countenance so heavy? Knowest thou not that Israel is committed unto thee in the land of their captivity? Up then, eat bread, forsake us not, as a shepherd that leaveth his flock in the hands of cruel wolves. Then said I unto him, Go thy ways from me, and come not nigh me. And he heard what I said, and went from me. And so I fasted 7 days, mourning and weeping, like Uriel the angel commanded me. And after 7 days, so it was, that the thoughts of my heart were very grievous unto me again. And my soul recovered the spirit of understanding, and I began to talk with the Most High again. And said, O Lord that bearest rule, of every wood of the earth and all the trees thereof, thou hast chosen thee only vine. And of all the lands, the whole world, thou hast chosen thee one pit. Of all the flowers thereof, one lily. And of all the depths of the sea, thou hast filled thee one river. And of all builded cities, thou hast hollowed Zion unto thyself. And of all the fowls that thou hast created, thou hast named thee one dove. And of all the cattle that are made, thou hast provided thee one sheep. And among all the multitudes of people, thou hast gotten thee one people. And unto this people whom thou lovest, thou gavest the law that is approved of all. And thou, O Lord, why hast thou given this one people over unto many? And upon one root hast thou prepared others. Why hast thou scattered thy only one people among many? And they which did gainsay thy promises, and believe not thy covenants, have trodden them down. If thou didst so much hate thy people, yet shouldest thou punish them with thine own hands? Now when I had spoken these words, the angel came unto me at night of 4, was sent unto me, and said unto me, Hear me, and I will instruct thee. Hearken to the thing that I say, and I shall tell thee more. And I said, Speak on, my Lord. Then said he unto me, Thou art sore troubled in mind for Israel's sake. Lovest thou that people better than he that made them? And I said, No, Lord, but of very grief have I spoken. For my reins pain me every hour, while I labor and comprehend the way of the Most High, and seek out part of his judgment. And he said unto me, Thou canst not. And I said, Wherefore, Lord? Whereunto was I born then? Or why was not my mother's womb then my grave, that I might not have seen the travail of Jacob, and the wearisome toil of the stock of Israel? And he said unto me, Number me the things that are not yet come. Gather me together the dross that are scattered abroad. Make me the flowers green again that are withered. Open me the places that are closed, and bring forth the winds that in them are shut up. Show me the image of a voice, and then I will declare unto thee the thing that thou laborest to know. And I said, O Lord that bearest rule, who may know these things? But he hath not his dwelling with men. As for me, I am unwise. How may I speak of these things whereof thou askest me? Then said he unto me, Like as thou canst do none of the things that I have spoken of, even so canst thou not find out my judgment, or in the end the love that I have promised unto my people. And I said, Behold, O Lord, yet art thou nigh unto them that are reserved till the end. And what shall they do that have been before me? Or we that be now, or they that shall come after us? And he said unto me, I will liken my judgment unto a ring. Like as there is no slackness of the last, even so there is no swiftness of the first. So I answered and said, Couldest thou not make those that have been made, and be now, and that are for to come at once? In other words, can you make all people at one time, that thou mightest show thy judgments sooner? Then answered he me and said, The creature may not haste above the Maker, neither may the world hold them at once that shall be created therein. And I said, As thou hast said unto thy servant, that thou which gavest life to all, hast given life at once to the creature that thou hast created, and the creature bear it, even so it might be now also, bear them that now be present at once. And he said unto me, Ask the womb of a woman, and say unto her, If thou bringest forth children, why does it not together? Why dost thou not together, but one after another? Pray her therefore to bring forth 10 children at once. And I said, She cannot, but must do it by distance of time. And he said unto me, Even so have I given the womb of the earth of those that be sown in their times. For like as a young child may not bring forth the things that belong to the aged, even so have I disposed the world which I created. And I find that amazing that the womb is likened, just like in the King James Version of the Bible. By the way, this was part of that, but they removed that. You can see a consistency in this, a big consistency. Let me continue. Where was I at? Okay. And I asked and said, Seeing thou hast now given me the way, I will proceed to speak before thee. For our mother, of whom thou hast told me that she is young, draweth now nigh unto age. He answered me and said, Ask a woman that beareth children, and she shall tell thee. Say unto her, Wherefore, or unto they whom thou hast now brought forth like those that were before, but less of stature. And she shall answer thee, They that be born in the strength of youth are of one fashion, and they that are born in the time of age, when the womb faileth, are otherwise. Consider thou therefore also how that ye are less of stature than those that were before you, and so are they that come after you less than ye. As creatures which now begin to be old have passed over strength of youth, and so are they that come after you less than ye. As creatures which now being to be old and have passed over the strength of youth, then said I, Lord, I beseech thee, if I found favor in thy sight, show thy servant by whom thou visitest thy creature. Let me go back here. My screen is wobbling. What in the world is this? Chapter 6. And he said unto me in the beginning, when the earth was made, before the borders of the world stood, and over the winds blew, before it thundereth and lightning. Wait a minute. Hold on. An update? No updates, dude. Before it thundered and lightning, or even the foundations of paradise were laid, before the fair flowers were seen, or even the movable powers were established, before the innumerable multitude of angels were gathered together, or even the heights of the air were lifted up, before the measure of the firmament were named, or even the chimneys of Siam were hot, and ere the present years were sought out, and or ever the inventions of them that now sin were turned, before they were sealed that gathereth faith for treasure. Then did I consider these things, that they were made through me alone, and through none other. By me also they shall be ended, and by none other. Then answered I and said, What shall the parting asunder of times? What shall be the parting asunder of times? Or when shall the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held the first, the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. The hand of a man is betwixt the heel and the hand. Other question, Esdras, ask thou not. I answered, then I said, O Lord, that bearest rule, if I found favor in thy sight, I beseech thee, show thy servant the end of thy tokens, whereof thou showest me part the last night. So he answered and said unto me, Stand up upon thy feet, and hear the mighty voice, the mighty sounding voice. And it shall be as it were a great motion, but the place where thou standest shall not be moved. And therefore, when it speaketh, be not afraid. For the word is of the end, and the foundation of the earth is understood. And why? Because the speech of the things trembleth and is moved, for it knoweth that the end of these things must be changed. And it happened that when I had heard it, I sat up on my feet and hearkened, and behold, there was a voice that spake, and the sound of it was like the sound of many waters. And it said, Behold, the days come, that I will begin to draw nigh, and visit them that dwell upon the earth, and will begin to make inquisition of them, what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Sion shall be fulfilled, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then will I show these tokens. The books shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together. And the children of a year old shall speak with their voices. The woman with child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months old, and they shall live and be raised up. And the children of a year old shall speak with their voices. I just read that. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. At that time shall friends fight one another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein, and the springs of the fountains shall stand still. And in 3 hours they shall not run. Whosoever remaineth from all these that I have told thee shall escape, and shall see my salvation in the end of the world. And the man that are received shall see it, who have not tasted death from their birth. And the heart of the inhabitant shall be changed, and turning into another meaning. For evil shall be put out, deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome, and truth, which hath been so long without fruit, shall be declared. And when he talked with me, behold, I looked by little and little upon him before whom I stood. And these words said he unto me, I am come to show thee the time of the night to come. If thou wilt pray yet more, and fast 7 days again, I will tell thee the greater things by day that I have heard. For thy voice is heard before the Most High, for the Mighty has seen thy righteous dealings. He hath seen also the chastity, which thou hast had ever since thy youth, and therefore hath he sent me to show thee all things, and say unto thee, Be of good comfort, and fear not, and hasten not with the times that are past, to think vain things, that thou mayest not hasten from the latter times. And it came to pass after this that I wept again, and fasted 7 days in like manner. that I might fulfill the 3 weeks which he told me. And in the 8th night my heart was vexed within me again, and I began to speak before the Most High, for my spirit was greatly set on fire, and my soul was distressed. And I said, O Lord, thou speakest from the beginning of creation, even the first day, and sayest thus, that the heaven and the earth be made, and thy word was a perfect word. And then when the spirit and darkness and silence were over every side, the sound of a man's voice was not yet formed, then commandest thou a fair light to come forth of thy treasures, that thy work might appear. Upon the 2nd day thou madest the spirit of the firmament, and commanded it to part asunder, and to make a division betwixt the waters, that the one part might go up, and the other may remain beneath. Upon the 3rd day thou didst command that the waters should be gathered into 7 parts of the earth. 6 parts hast thou dried up, and kept them, to the intent that of these some, being planted of God and tilled, might serve thee. For as soon as thy word went forth, the work was made. For immediately there was a great and innumerable fruit, and many diverse pleasures for taste, and flowers, unchangeable color, and odors of wonderful smells. And this was done the 3rd day. And upon the 4th thou commandest the sun should shine, and the moon to give her light, and the stars should be in order, and gavest them charge to do service unto man that was to be made. And upon the 5th day thou sayest unto the 7th part, where the waters were gathered, that it should bring forth living creatures, fowls, and fishes. And so it came to pass. For the dumb water without life brought forth living things at the commandment of God, that all people might praise thy wondrous works. Then didst thou ordain 2 living creatures, the one thou callest Enoch, and the other Leviathan. And it did separate one from the other. For the 7th part, namely, where the water was gathered together, might not hold them both. Unto Enoch thou gavest 1 part, which was dried up the 3rd day, that he should dwell in the same part wherein are the 1,000 hills. But unto Leviathan thou gavest the 7th part, namely the moist, and hast kept him to be devoured, of whom thou wilt, and when. Upon the 6th day thou gavest commandment unto the earth, that before thee it should bring forth beasts and cattle and creeping things. And after these Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures. Of him come we all, and of the people also, who thou hast chosen. All this I have spoken before the Lord. O Lord, because thou hast made it the world for our sakes, as for the other people who also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, and hast likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. And now, O Lord, behold, these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us, and to devour us. But we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, thy only begotten, thy fervent lover, are given into their hands. If the world now be made for our sakes, why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? How long shall this endure? And when I had made an end of speaking these words, there was sent unto me an angel which had been sent unto me the nights before. Now let me take a break. I know you guys, maybe you didn't hear about Enoch, right? Which, by the way, holds 4 names, right? And Leviathan, which initially was exactly what was spoken here. But Leviathan became something else. It became something else because in the translation they could not find a specific word for Satan. Right? The word Satan, the word devil, is generalized. They had the actual names of spirits, like Simyaza, right? That's one of the names of the dragon system itself. So just because it's generalized, there are no real details lost. You're talking about darkness, things in darkness. Esdras is praying, and his main question is, if you created us, your chosen people, why are we suffering like this? Why are we not on top of everything? Right? Why are the heathen ruling over us? And if the heathen are to rule over us for all this time, then why suffer us to exist at all? He also asked earlier from that, he said, why was I even born? Right? So Esdras was plagued within himself with thoughts of what the Lord was doing. And he had questions. And it burdened him that the people of God would suffer. This is during their exile. Okay, this happened during their exile. So he's asking about all these things. He's fasting 7 days and then 7 days more and then 7 days more. And they're going back to get him saying, where are you at? You're our shepherd. What are you doing out here all alone? Fatten yourself up and come back to us. Don't abandon us. And he says, go away from me, because the angel said, right, that he is to be set by himself. In another part, he was sent a field full of flowers, and he was told only to eat those flowers and nothing else. Very specific things from the Most High, right? Very specific things. God does specific things like that, giving a specific fast because people want specific answers. And so the vessel must be prepared to receive those specific answers according to the Lord, not according to us. That's how that works. But notice, you didn't read about him starving to death, did you? In fact, in other books, when other people fasted, you don't hear about them starving to death. Don't hear about that. So we also find out in his account of creation, which is very consistent, it is exactly of what's in the King James Version of the Bible. You have the separation of darkness and light, the separation of dark spirits and righteous spirits. You have the separation of physical darkness and physical light. Did you see that? You have choice pieces of land. You have the division of the earth in its quadrants. Now, I'm not going to say quadrants as four, but in its sections. And of course, the ratio of the earth, land to water ratio is exactly as written here. I just find these things to be astounding. I don't get into the facts and the details and this and the other. You'd be studying for weeks because you'd have to go through all these words and concepts and go find them in the times of old, their usages and what they meant in that usage back in that time. Of course, you could do that. I believe that theologians have dug this up too a lot. So now he's about to start to tell of some prophecies. I personally believe these prophecies were stricken from everything, certainly back in the 1600s, because they spoke specifically about the institutions that are in power right now. And they didn't want anybody to know about these institutions. Those of you who are Catholic, you know about the apologetic letters that were written from the Vatican that did not give the people the hidden knowledge that stems from this book. And they wrote letters of apologies. That's at the Vatican for anybody to look up and see, because they have countless books and references and everything else down in the basement of the Vatican, right? So they didn't want people to look at governments as some sort of a curse. Right now, you guys are born into a world where government rules, period. Doesn't matter what country you go to, right? The format is the same. How they employ it is exactly the same. People are conditioned to be under control, to see the government as freedom, but when in fact, the government is a bunch of people who are separated from you. They're not like you. They're separated from you. Think about that for a moment. And so they do their own thing, right? Now, they can whitewash it all day long, but you can't go talk to them. Just go talk to them. Go speak for your set of people. I do believe this, that we do have people in there that try to do the right thing, but they're quickly overcome by evil and influence, right? They still bear the symbol of Satan in every single kingdom out there. Just in case you didn't know, right? They speak openly of a draconian system, and people, they really do believe that's some sort of educational theme. No, it isn't. And it's old. It is ancient. Satan is a legalist. Do you know that? I'm going to take a break, but I want you to think about something. Satan, when he accused Job, he was very precise. Satan waits for you to make an error with the Most High, and he goes and accuses you. Based on the error that you have made, he does not accuse you of something God cannot verify. He is a legalist. He tries to ensnare and entrap you in things. Back during the days when they separated these books, you may be surprised to know this. Government dictated how you could believe in the living God. Government dictated that. And if you did not believe like the government, you were killed. You were done for. You were kaput. Done? I'm going to take a break and be back. I'm going to read this last part to you guys. This one last part to you guys. I'll be right back in just a few minutes. Right here at the Council of Time. Yes, and I know you guys have questions. This is to share the prophecies, not so much the other things that go with this. That you can do. You can see that, compare that on your own. Right? Because any book, listen to me carefully, any book that resides outside of the King James Version of the Bible, make sure you have your father's consent. Do you hear me? Have your father's consent. Have your father's consent. Don't go out reading things you know nothing about. Let the Father lead you to what you must know, because God will lead you to things that are useful. If you do it yourself, you're going to end up with a bunch of useless knowledge. And you're going to end up in arguments with everybody. That is not the purpose of the Word of God, and God does deliverance. We carry his gospel as an encouragement to inspire others, so on and so forth. But make no mistake, the Father delivers. He will deliver his children. Okay? Don't take it upon yourselves. Like somehow you are the deliverer, because we are not. God delivers. God does not need us. He loves us. Somebody said, does anyone know if Esdras lived? Yeah, I know that. I know that. Back in the early 80s is when I came across this, or led to this, in Israel, back in the early 80s. That's where I had my crossing with it. It was back in the early 80s in Israel. So, be led of the Lord is what I'm saying. There are too many people who have gone into books that are forgeries, clearly forgeries. And these people end up running cults. Their spirits are zapped. Their soul is fried. Their conscience is seared with a hot iron. They become cruel and controlling. Right? And that's a way to allow the enemy to get in. My advice to you is let the Lord lead you into what you must know. He will verify it through others who have no knowledge that you're looking for a book. That's what happened to me. He does that every single time. Be right back in just a few minutes. I'll be right back. Okay, everybody, I'm back again with a dancing. My screen is dancing. No, it's my favorite one, too. This is a, what is this? 45-inch monitor, right? It's a little old, but it works so good. It does. It works very good. And it's been flickering for about 3 days now. It's soon to have a funeral. Poor fella. It's been a good one, though. But I'm trying to read. It's dancing, and I'm reading it while it's going up and down and flickering. I'll get through it. Pretty good one, though. All right, we're going to read chapter 7 real quick. Now, as Esdras gives us here we go, we're going to get into this. It starts at, let's see, come on now. Bear with me, guys. Bear with me. I just read the whole thing. How about that? And he said unto me, Up, Esdras, and hear the words that I'm come to tell thee. That's verse 2, verse 3. This is chapter 7. And I said, Speak on, my God. Then said he unto me, The sea is set in a wide place, and it might be deep and great. But put the case, the entrance were narrow, like a river. Who then could go into the sea to look upon it, and to rule it, if he went not through the narrow? How could he come into the broad? There is also another thing. A city is builded, and set upon a broad field, and is full of all good things. The entrance thereof is narrow. It is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were a fire on the right hand, and on the left a deep water. And the only path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could be but one man go there at once. If this city now were given unto man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive his inheritance? Now let me stop right there. Did you guys hear that one? Did you guys hear that? Did you hear? I want you guys to hear this one good. He's telling us about getting into a city for an inheritance. Fires on one side, deep water on the other, right? There's an emphasis here. You can only, that narrow path is going between them both, and it's dangerous to get to that city, right? So he says, if the city now were given unto man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance? Keep that. And I said, It is so, Lord. Then said he unto me, Even so also is Israel's portion. Because for their sakes I made the world. And when Adam transgressed my statutes, then was decreed that now is done. Then were the entrances of this world made narrow, full of sorrow and travail. They were but few and evil, full of perils and very painful. For the entrances of the elder world were wide and sure, and brought immortal fruit. If then they that live labor not to enter these straight and vain things, they can never receive those that are laid up for them. Now therefore, why disquiet thou thyself, seeing that thou art but corruptible man? And why art thou moved, whereas thou art but mortal? Why hast thou not considered in thy mind this thing that is to come, rather than that which is present? Then answered I and said, O Lord that bearest rule, thou hast ordained in thy law that the righteous should inherit the things, but that the ungodly should perish. Nevertheless, the righteous shall suffer straight things, and hope for wide. For they that have done wickedly have suffered the straight things, and yet shall not see the wide. And he said unto me, There is no judge above God, and none that hath understanding above the highest. For there be many that perish in this life, because they despise the law of God that is set before them. For God hath given straight commandment to such as came, what they should do to live even as they came, and what they should do to observe to avoid punishment. Nevertheless, they were not obedient unto him, but spake against him, and imagined vain things, and deceived themselves by their wicked deeds. They deceived themselves by their wicked deeds. One more time. They deceived themselves by their wicked deeds, and said of the Most High, that he is not, and knew not his ways. But his law have they despised, and denied his covenants. In his statutes have they not been faithful, and have not performed his works. And therefore, Esdras, for the empty are empty things, and for the full are full things. Behold, the time shall come, that these tokens which I have told thee shall come to pass, and the bride shall appear, and she coming forth shall be seen, that now is withdrawn from the earth, and whosoever is delivered from the foresaid evils shall see my wonders. For my son Jesus shall be revealed with those that be with him, and they that remain shall rejoice within 400 years. After these years shall my son Christ die, and all men that have life. And the world shall be turned into the old silence 7 days, like as in the former judgments, so that no man shall remain. And after 7 days the world that yet awakeneth not shall be raised up, and that shall die that is corrupt. And the earth shall restore those things that are asleep in her. And so the dust, those that dwell in the silence and the secret places, shall deliver those souls that were committed unto them, and the Most High shall appear upon the seat of judgment, and misery shall pass away, and the long suffering shall have an end. But my judgment only shall remain. Truth shall stand, and faith shall wax strong. And the work shall follow, and the reward shall be showed, and the good deeds shall be of force, and the wicked deeds shall bear no rule. Then said I, Abraham prayed first for the Sodomites, and Moses for the fathers that sinned in the wilderness, and Jesus after him for Israel in the time of Achan, and Samuel and David for their destruction, and Solomon for them that they should come to the sanctuary, and Helias for those that received rain, and for the dead that he might live, and Ezekias for the people in the time of Sennacherib, and for many. Even so now, seeing corruption is growing up, the wickedness increased, and the righteous have prayed for the ungodly. Wherefore shall it not be so now also? He answered me and said, This present life is not the end, where much glory doth abide. Therefore have they prayed for the weak. But the day of doom shall be the end of this time, and the beginning of immortality for to come, wherein corruption is past. Intemperance is at an end, infidelity is cut off, righteousness is grown, truth is sprung up. Then shall no man be able to save him that is destroyed, nor to oppress him that hath gotten the victory. I answered and said, This is my first and last saying, that it had been better not to have given the earth unto Adam, or else, when it was given to him, to have restrained him from sinning. For what profit is it for men now in the present time to live in heaviness, and after death to look for punishment? O thou Adam, what hast thou done? For through it thou hast sinned. Thou art not fallen alone, but we all that come of thee. For what profit is it unto us, if there be promised us immortal time, whereas we have done the works that bring death? And that there is a promise us an everlasting hope, whereas ourselves, being most wicked, are made vain. And that there be laid up for us dwellings of health and safety, whereas we have lived wickedly. And that the glory of the Most High is kept to defend them which have led a weary life, whereas we have walked in the most wicked ways of all. And that there should be showed a paradise, whose fruit endureth forever, wherein is security and medicine, since we shall not enter into it, for we have walked in unpleasant places. And that the faces of them which have used abstinence shall sin above the stars, whereas our faces shall be blacker than darkness. For while we lived and committed iniquity, we considered not that we should begin to suffer for it after death. Then answered he me, and said, This is the condition of the battle, which man that is born upon the earth shall fight. That was verse 57. It also matches Timothy, doesn't it? This is the condition of the battle. What condition of what battle? The battle, the fight between darkness and light within yourselves. The choices that you make. They're your choices. And the outcome is sure. Your choices. He said, This is the condition of the battle which man that is born upon the earth shall fight, that if he be overcome, he shall suffer as thou hast said. But if he get the victory, he shall receive the thing I say. For this is the life whereof Moses spake unto the people while he lived, saying, Choose thee life, that thou mayest live. Nevertheless, they believed not him, nor yet the prophets after him. No, nor me, which have spoken unto them, that there should not be such heaviness in their destruction, and shall be joy over them that be persuaded to salvation. I answered then and said, I know, Lord, that the Most High is called merciful, in that he hath mercy upon them which are not yet come into the world, and upon also that turn to his law, and that he is patient and long suffereth those that have sinned as his creatures, and that he is bountiful, for he is ready to give where it needeth, and that he is of great mercy, for he multiplieth more and more mercies to them that are present and that are past, and also to them which are to come. For if he shall not multiply his mercies, the world would not continue with him that inherit therein. And he pondereth, for if he did not so of his goodness, they which have committed iniquities might be eased of them, then 10,000 part of men should not remain living. And being judged, if he should not forgive them that are cured for this word, and put out the multitude of contentions, there should be very few left peradventure in the innumerable multitude. He answered, saying, The Most High hath made this world for many, but the world to come for few. I will tell thee the similitude, Esdras. As when he asketh the earth, it shall say unto thee that it giveth much. I can't see that word right there. What is that? It giveth much something whereof earthen vessels are made, but little dust that gold cometh of. Even so is the course of this present world. There be many created, but few shall be saved. So answered I and said, Swallow then down, O my soul, understanding and devour wisdom, for thou hast agreed to give ear, and art willing to prophesy, for thou hast no longer space than only to live. O Lord, if thou suffer not thy servant, that we may pray before thee, and thou give us seed unto our heart and the culture to our understanding, that there may come fruit of it, how shall each man live that is corrupt, who beareth the place of a man? For thou art alone, and we all are one workmanship of his kind. Like as thou hast said, for when the body is fashioned now in the mother's womb, and thou givest it members, thy creature is preserved in fire and water, and 9 months doeth thy workmanship endure thy creature, which is created in her. But that which keepeth and is kept shall both be preserved, and when the time cometh, the womb preserved delivereth up the thing that grew in it. For thou hast commanded out of the parts of the body, that is to say, out of the breast, milk to be given, which is the fruit of the breast, that the thing which is fashioned may be nourished for a time, till thou disposest to the mercies, or is given unto mercy. Thou ballest it up with thy righteousness, and nourished it in thy law, and reformest it with thy judgment, and thou shalt mortify it as thy creature, and quicken it as thy work. If therefore thou shalt destroy him which thou so great labored was fashioned, it is an easy thing to be ordained by thy commandment, that the thing which was made might be preserved. Now therefore, Lord, I will speak touching main and in general. Thou knowest best, but touching thy people, for whose sake I am sorry, and for thine inheritance, for those, or for whose cause I mourn, and for Israel, for whom I am heavy, and for Jacob, and for whose sake I am troubled. Therefore will I begin to pray before thee for myself and for them, for I see the falls of us that dwell in the land. But I have heard the swiftness of the judge which is to come. Therefore hear my voice, and understand my words, and I shall speak before thee. This is the beginning of the words of Esdras, before he was taken up, and I said, and of course he gives his prayer. He gives his prayer, O Lord, thou that dwellest in the everlasting, which beholdest from above in the things of the air, whose throne is intensible, whose glory is to not be comprehended, before whom the hosts of the angels stand with trembling, whose service is conversant in wind and fire, whose word is true, saying constant, whose commandment is strong in ordinance, fearful, whose look drieth up the depths, and indignation maketh the mountains to melt away, which the truth witnesseth. O hear the prayer of thy servant, and give ear to the petition of thy creature. For while I live I will speak, and so long as I have understanding I will answer. O Lord, look not upon the sins of thy people, but on them which serve thee in truth. Regard not the wicked inventions of the heathen, but desire of those that keepeth thy testimonies in afflictions. Think not upon those that have walked vainly before thee, but remember them which according to thy will have known thy fear. Let it not be thy will to destroy them which have lived like beasts, but look upon them that have clearly taught thy law. Take thou no indignation at them which are deemed worse than the beast, but love them that always put their trust in thy righteousness and glory. For we and our fathers do languish of such diseases, but because of us sinners thou shalt be called merciful. For if thou hast a desire to mercy upon us, thou shalt be called merciful, to us namely, that have no works of righteousness. For the just which have many good works laid up for thee shall out of their own deeds receive reward. For what is a man that thou shouldest take pleasure at him? Or what is corruptible generation that thou shouldest be so bitter toward it? For in truth there is no man among them that be born, but he that dealt wickedly, and among the faithful there is none which hath done amiss. For in this, O Lord, thy righteousness and goodness shall be declared, if thou be merciful unto them which have not the confidence of good works. Then answered he me, and said, Some things hast thou spoken aright, and according unto thy words it shall be. For indeed I will not think on the disposition of them that have sinned before death, before judgment, before destruction, but I will rejoice over the disposition of the righteous, and I will remember also the pilgrimage and the salvation and the reward that they shall have. Like as I have spoken now, so it shall come to pass. For as the husbandman soweth much seed upon the ground, and planteth many trees, and yet the thing that is sown good in a season cometh not up, neither doth all that is planted take root. Even so it is of them that are sown in the world. They shall not all be saved. I answered then and said, If I have found grace, let me speak. Like as a husbandman's seed perisheth, if it come not up, or receive not thy rain in due season, or if there come too much rain, and corrupt it, even so perisheth man also, which is formed with thy hands, and is called thine own image, because thou art like unto him, for whose sake thou hast made all things, and likened him unto the husbandman of the seed. Be not wroth with us, but spare thy people, and have mercy upon thine own inheritance, for thou art merciful unto thy creature. Then answered he me, and said, Things present are for the present, and things to cometh are for such as to come. For thou comest far short that shouldest be able to love my creature more than I. But I have oftentimes drawn nigh unto thee and unto it, but never to the unrighteous. In this also thou art marvelous before the Most High, in that thou humblest thyself as it becometh thee, and hast not judged thyself worthy to be much glorified among the righteous. I like that. I'm going to read that again, 48 and 49. In this also thou art marvelous before the Most High, in that thou hast humbled thyself as it has become thee, and hast not judged thyself worthy to be much glorified among the righteous. For many great miseries shall be done to them that are in the latter time, shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in pride. All those who walked in pride, or who are walking in pride, what did he just say? For many great miseries shall be done to them that are in the latter time, dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. But understand thou for thyself, and seek out the glory for such as be like thee. For unto you is a paradise open, the tree of life is planted, the time to come is prepared, plenteous is made ready, and the city is builded, and the rest is allowed, yea, perfect goodness and wisdom. The root of evil is sealed up from you, weakness, and the moth is hid from you, and corruption is fled into hell, to be forgotten. Sorrows are past, and in the end it showed the treasure of immortality. And therefore, ask thou no more questions concerning the multitude of them that perish. For when they had taken liberty, they despised the Most High, thought scorn of his law, and forsook his ways. Are you guys seeing a pattern even in the prayers? In the prayers, in the statements, in the requests, the same thing keeps coming back. The same thing that people do right now today. The exact same thing. Even the time that we're in right now is the emptiness right before the gavel falls. The emptiness is when those who are evil have no conviction. That's the time they're in right now. It doesn't seem like anything bad is going to happen to them from on high. That's the way it's supposed to feel, because they're consumed by their own pride. When they have their freedom, when they were in their freedom, when they can do what they wanted to do, they in fact despised the Most High, thought scorn of his law, and they did forsook, and will forsake his word and his ways. Moreover, they have trodden down his righteous, and said in their heart that there is no God. That's the worst thing. They did say, and notice, he didn't say, they said with their mouth, there is no God. He said, they said in their heart, there is no God. Now, let me tell you what that is. That's a person who says they believe in Jesus Christ. And then when it comes to the promises of the Lord, they say, he's not going to do, that's not going to happen for me. That never happens for me. That's a person saying there is no God in their hearts. When they deny the word of God upon their lives, it's the exact same thing. That's what people are doing. Right now, today, they're doing that. Denying the Messiah. When we Charlie Brown it in the world, and when we read a scripture and we say to ourselves, God's not going to do that for me, we're saying there is no God to work that thing. Because to doubt his word is to doubt him. To say that the word is not going to manifest in your life is to say that God won't manifest in your life. Is to say his promises are not real. Is to say there is no God. That's how you say it in your heart, by denying his word upon your life. When you deny his word upon your life, when you internally do not believe it, then you're saying to yourself, there is no God to achieve it. Do you see that? I don't believe any of us would deny Christ openly, but we have denied his deliverance. We have said to ourselves, God won't deliver me from this, and God won't deliver me from that. Didn't we say that? Then we said to ourselves, there is no deliverance from this or that. People are stuck right now because they said there is no deliverance in their hearts. If you say there is no deliverance, you're also saying there is no deliverer. Not for you. Self-pity can ruin a person. It can damage your soul. Where was I at? I lost my place. For the root of evil is sealed up. We read that. We read that. For when they had taken liberty, they despised the Most High, thought scorn of his law and forsook its ways. Moreover, they have trodden down his righteous and said in their heart, there is no God. Yea, and that knowing they must die. For as these things aforesaid shall receive you, so thirst and pain are prepared for them. For it was not his will that men should come to nothing. But they which be created have defiled the name of him that made them, and were unthankful unto him which prepared life for them. Hear that? Even today, this life that you're living, life that's prepared for you, how many have cursed it, pointed at it, hated it? And therefore is my judgment now at hand. These things I have not shown unto all men, but unto thee. And if you like thee, then answered I and said, Behold, Lord, now hast thou showed me the multitude of wonders which thou wilt begin to do in the last times. But at what time? Thou hast not showed me. At what time? This entire theme, although it's long, and it is long, is Esdras. He wants to know, God, why did you create us just to suffer? Why are we suffering? Why are these bad conditions coming upon us? Why are we put in the enemy's hands to be oppressed? Why are we not prosperous in what we're doing? And so an answer is given. Every single time an answer is given. Because of pride. People are walking in pride. People are not choosing. They're not choosing the Lord. In their liberty, they choose the Lord only in their troubles. Because men hide their hearts from the Lord. They speak one thing, but in their hearts they have said there is no God. They do harm to the law. They despise his judgments and the law. To despise God's law is to fully embrace man's laws. Our Father in heaven said, do good to those who despitefully use you and persecute you and say all manner of evil against you. But men say, pay them back. The Lord says, do good to those who despitefully use you. But in the world of men, they say, part company from them. God conveyed over and over again that he is merciful, he is kind, he is long-suffering. But you have people out there, they're trying to portray a God as violent, murderous, and all sorts of things, defiling his name. God is not warlike. He has no need to be. He's the creator of all things. Why in the world would he have to be warlike? That's in man's mind. Our Father is a Father of kindness and mercy and of peace and of justice and of righteousness. We're the ones who are violent, full of anger, unsatisfied, unthankful. So the end is declared, and a lifetime is given to each, and every day they're choosing where they're going to end up. And no one will will escape what they have chosen. Because whatever you choose, you're not doing it with your mouth. You're choosing from the core of your soul. It's not about what you say. It's about how you're living. You're not going to be saved by what you say. Salvation comes by the truth of the heart in alignment with Christ, the full acceptance of Christ and of the Father. How many times have we been told that the Antichrist will blaspheme his name? That men will come in the name of the Lord, in the name of Christ, doing things and deceive many. They have the form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. There's those people again that say, God's not going to do anything. God can't change my situation. The Charlie Brown syndrome will destroy your life. That's a theme here. Oh, that's a lot of reading. But we get into a part of the prophecy, which is in 12, because there are many great things in here, but I want to go to 12, because 12 depicts what we're dealing with right now. I'm going to read this. In the last days shall the Most High raise up 3 kingdoms and renew many things therein, and they shall have the dominion of the earth, and of those that dwell therein with much oppression, above all those that were before them. Therefore are they called the heads of the eagle, for these are they that shall accomplish his wickedness, and that shall finish his last end. Now, a lot of people, you're not going to understand that from the onset of this. You'd have to read that to see why. Because it says, God will raise up 3 kingdoms. Not the devil. The Father's going to raise up 3 kingdoms. They are signified by the eagle's head, resting. Esdras chapter 12, starting at 23, it says, in the last days shall the Most High raise up 3 kingdoms. Who's going to raise them up? The Most High is going to raise up 3 kingdoms and renew many things therein, and they shall have dominion over dominion of the earth. Just like the book of Daniel. But it tells you exactly what they're for. They're going to have dominion over the earth, and of those that dwell therein with much oppression. Much oppression, above all those that were before them. Therefore are they called the heads of the eagle, for these are they that shall accomplish his wickedness, and that shall finish his last end. And whereas thou sawest the great head appeared no more, it signifieth that one of them shall die upon his bed, yet with pain. For the 2 that remain shall be slain with the sword, for the sword of the one shall devour the other. But at the last shall he fall through the sword himself. And whereas thou sawest 2 feathers under the wings passing over the head, that is on the right side, over the head of the eagle. It was under the wing, now it passes over the head of the eagle. It signifieth that these are they whom the Most High has kept until their end. This is the small kingdom, and full of trouble, as thou sawest. And the lion whom thou sawest rising up out of the wood and roaring, speaking to the eagle and rebuking her for her unrighteousness with all the words which thou hast heard. This is the anointed, which the highest hath kept for them and for their wickedness unto the end. He shall reprove them and shall upbraid them with their cruelty. For he shall set them before him alive in judgment, and shall rebuke them and correct them. For the rest of my people shall he deliver with mercy, shall he deliver with mercy. These are the last three kingdoms that will rule the entire earth. I find this incredibly significant. Here's the reason why. The kingdoms in this earth certainly don't rule it. There are three reigning kingdoms in the earth right now, aren't there? Three. And but what's most significant is that tiny kingdom, which was explained to be the one where New Jerusalem comes and sets itself down, is underneath the feathers of the last eagle. You don't find that significant? I find that to be very significant. So what is the Lord saying here? Why would the Lord call these, why would he say they oppress much? I don't think people have gotten this part yet. God's kingdom is not in the earth yet. And if God's kingdom is not in the earth yet, then the highest influence in these kingdoms are of darkness and not light. These kingdoms do oppress. The very system all of these kingdoms operate by is not freedom, it's oppression. We had a bunch of military folks, a bunch of us guys, right, looking at this, and we thought about America. And a few of them said, well, let's look at if we are actually oppressed. Are we? Now, we have all colors and types in this group. So we know we had slavery in all nations. We have racism in all nations. We have different groups in all nations who work against the other. It's dangerous if you end up with the wrong group. In school, right? You better be with the right set of people or you will be bullied. The system itself is run through oppression. Oppression is the force that people bend to. It's a control mechanism, isn't it? If you do not live by the standards of those kingdoms, right, you're going to die. You cannot and go out and be anything you want to be. You can't. You cannot. That's what they, that's what they say. It's not the way things turn out. Everybody's looking to have a paradise in these respective kingdoms, but what they end up doing is working themselves to the bone, and then they die and pass away. We're killing ourselves to have the best house with the best paint, with the best carpets, and the best this and the best that. That's what we're doing. And what we represent. What does the world know? What do we know of these other kingdoms? You ever look at the movies of these other kingdoms, their entertainment, the way they operate, the way they talk? We have representatives of these kingdoms. I hope they don't represent the people. Those who succeed in these kingdoms are the ones who are willing to step on everybody's heads, unless the Lord anoint you to reach a specific level. But you know and I know, right? You're going to have to agree that somebody get ousted in order for you to continue to go forward. Competition is bred into everything in these kingdoms. Competition is about making somebody lose while you win. Nobody wants to be the loser. Everybody wants to win. But in order to win, somebody else has to lose. And if they lose, that's the end of that. When the everlasting kingdom comes in, it will do away with all these kingdoms. All of them. Now one of them will stand. That will be the kingdom of righteousness. The kingdom of righteousness is the kingdom to come. The New Jerusalem, which shall descend out of heaven to earth, which is not polluted. Remember, because in Revelation, where the New Jerusalem is going to sit, that whole area has been given to the Gentiles. It was not part of the measurements, was it? No, it was not. It was given to the Gentiles, that they would trample it underfoot. Then when that process is over, when the Lord wipes them all out, the New Jerusalem will descend out of heaven to earth. Even in Revelation, only after a certain trumpet it says, now the kingdoms of this world have become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ. That's right. That's at the 1,000-year reign. But before that, the kingdoms of this world were blaspheming God and all sorts of things. There we are with that, everybody. What time is it here? I'm going to take a break. I'll be right back in just a few minutes right here at the Council of Time. My eyeballs actually hurt. You guys try doing that. Try reading the screen that's going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. My goodness gracious. Try that one. My eyeballs really they do hurt. It's very difficult to track. If you guys could see my head, inadvertently my head was going up and down. You know when you're looking through blinds and you don't want to open the blinds and you find your head going up and down because you're trying to focus on something. That's what I was doing. My head was going up and down. Up and down. Oh boy. In these books, I tell you guys something. If you ever hear anybody with a concept, then you have to go to Jerusalem to be saved. It comes from, part of that comes from the book of Esdras. It does. There's a mystery to all of us. A mystery that is soon to be solved. Now, I'm going to say this gently. You guys know I do not use the word rapture, right? I know everybody else does. I don't use the word rapture because it's not in the context. That word, right, describes something that people argue about. I believe in the Word of God. So whenever Jesus comes, those who are alive at that time, because everybody is not going to be alive at that time, those who are alive at that time, right, who belong to him, will be changed in a twinkling of an eye. But there's been this resounding question in my soul for a long time. There's no way I can convey to you all how your life can change if you were to dream something 24 times. But the earth was empty. Empty. It was empty. It looked like it looks right now, with the exception of the sun. And the leaves on the trees were browned. And the earth had gone through a few things, and drugs were rampant. Now imagine, you guys imagine having a dream like that starting in 1980, right? Or 75. When the type drugs that are out now were different than the type drugs then, right? It was just different. People were different. And you have the same dream 24 times throughout your life. And you see elements of that dream come to pass that nobody believed until they came to pass. You know, I sounded like a lunatic in 1992 when I was talking about a black president. I was trying to describe him, and I used his name, Obama. Do you know that? You know how much of a lunatic? I had to convince a relative to accept the mail. I mailed that dream out to a relative. One's in Texas in a safe deposit box. All of them are postmarked. That dream is in there. Obama's in there. The disappearance in newspapers is in there. The rise of these devices, because everybody was walking looking down. Everybody was looking down. There were errors that were changing in time, and I wrote all that down. But I sounded like a raving lunatic. And with all those things I wrote down, I would see pieces of it from time to time. When I first saw Obama as a senator, I told my family members, I said, that guy's going to be president. They said, not in your lifetime. In other words, that's not going to happen. But it did happen. Some of the things the Lord showed me are so far out of touch. There's no way in the world I could tell anybody right now what could take place, what's about to take place, and none of you would believe it. You wouldn't, because it does not follow any theme that anybody else has. I'm sure that some people have the exact same thing that I was given. I saw Texas. I saw Texas when I was in Texas. Now, I'm a person who's been accused of having no tear ducts, and that made me cry. I heard the screams of people in Killeen, Texas, because of the fires coming from below the earth and above the earth. There are people with names. There are children involved. People that I would meet and know and then not know the person anymore. Deaths were involved. Can you imagine looking at a person and in that dream you saw that person die and you're looking right in that person's face? You don't know what to tell that person. But you can't ignore the dream, and that person in the dream died. Then a year later, that person dies just like in the dream. But you saw other people die, and you know exactly who they are. And Angela and I, in COT's early days, I told Angela, I said, 3 have to fall in COT. They'll fall in COT. I didn't even have the heart to say who, but 3 would fall. As they were beginning to go, I remember preparing her and say, well, you know they're close. You can't exactly tell a person, you know, you're about to go away. Might want to make some changes. I saw in COT people asking me a desperate question. And I didn't want to give them an answer. I didn't want to give them an answer. This was before, there's no way it was in my heart, mind, or soul to talk to a lot of people. People online were asking me desperately. And they even used the name that people use right now. What do you tell them? I was told what to tell people, and a trumpet blast went off. I told Angela also to prepare herself. Times will change. When we're in COT, things are going to get a whole lot worse. A whole lot worse. People are going to go crazy. They're going to lose their sanity. Begin to do insane things. Soon they won't think anything of it. That was while she was preoccupied with the ring of fire. The ring and the ring of fire which, by the way, has a little too much activity. What do you tell people? The only thing I can do is have a biblical context. If I sound too crazy, nobody will come back, right? I have to have a biblical context. But what do you do with those things? I tell you one thing, even what the Lord has given you all, you have no idea how important that is. But you can't change it. If you had a dream or the Lord showed you something you cannot change, no matter how silly it looks, you can't change it. Yeah, that happens a lot, Sister Mary, smelling smoke for these train fires and stuff, but I kind of share that with Angela, just with Angela now. Some people get spooked out by things too fast. You also can't be accurate online, or you won't be online that long. You won't. As the Father says, be as wise as serpents, but as harmless as doves. I tell you what, before I go, hope you guys take the matters of the weather serious. I'm hoping we make it to June 5th. There's an event that could happen at this time. Any event is a traumatic event when it consumes lives. And people are not going to pay attention to the weather until it removes trees from their homes. Even if a death toll rises, people so quickly forget. I hope that you guys pay attention to your weather. Not so you can jump up and go somewhere else. So you can make petition according to the compassion in your heart. The Father responds to your compassion. Do you know that? Knowing a danger and knowing of a danger, it doesn't mean to get up and go somewhere. The Father responds to the compassion within you. So if you take it serious, and when your compassion pours out, your Father's going to hear it. That's why. If you know of a bad event, and by compassion you're interceding for people who don't know, your Father's going to hear it. It's not about you going to a different location. It's about your compassion and your truth coming forward in a petition to the Most High for the sakes of other people. It's for you to be a covering to your family. Because if you know about the danger, if you know about the conditions, nothing can stop you from praying. And if that comes from your soul, your Father's going to hear it. And the Father is moved by your compassion. Do you know that? The Father is moved by your compassion. So what he was originally going to do, he may alter because of your compassion. How many times has he performed that same thing in the Bible? Lots. The only thing he's not going to repent about is his decree of indignation against a certain place. That's it. But he is moved by your compassion. But you really are in different times. And the Lord knows I struggle to say the right things to get people prepared. I do. I struggle. If you give meat to somebody who drinks milk, you can choke them. You give too much milk to somebody who wants meat, you can starve them. Lord knows it's a delicate balance here. Pay attention to the weather, the subtlety of conditions. Stand ready to intercede should you perceive the danger upon anybody. And if the continents, if they don't crack within the next 2 weeks, be thankful. Be very thankful. If they don't crack within the next 2 weeks, I have time for something. If they do, then the heat will follow. Which is to say, the oceans will be forever changed. That we shall see. We will. Everyone, I'm going to see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday, right? Tomorrow's Wednesday, I do believe. If I'm on the right time scale here, boy, this thing is, come on, do right. Maybe I can fix it after the broadcast. Sometimes when a screen flickers, it's because of power supply requirements, which could be a capacitor. And just as a side note, whenever you open up a device and you see a capacitor which looks like a cylinder, if the top is raised, right, especially an electrolytic capacitor, if the top is raised, it means that capacitor, right, has held too much of a charge and it went bad. So normally that's a good indicator. They should be flat on the top, perfectly flat. If they're curved, right, kind of curved on the top like they've been, too much pressure's been inside, replace it in your device, whatever it is, it'll probably work again. In fact, most of the breakdowns in electronics is just that, a capacitor. Go figure. That's the truth. Not a transistor, not an IC, not a resistor, not any of those things. It's a capacitor. Of all things, a capacitor. And if you have freeze spray, you can give it a thermal test. But chances are it's a capacitor. For you guys that tinker around. We could have a midnight hour. Guys, we could. I've been incredibly busy the last 2 nights. Putting some things together. With my pea brain, it's not easy putting things together. Right? We still have disclosure. This is disclosure year, period. Right? I know what they're doing, so I'm getting ahead of them. If you've been tracking, for example, what I said on Pastor Paul's show, then I'm getting ahead of them. Listen. Hear me on this. Hopefully not everybody is logged in, but I'm telling you right now, there is no secret anybody has that cannot be known right now. It's not classified. We're in a time where nothing can be hidden. Nothing. I mean, nothing can be hidden. Okay? I can help you to uncover things so that you can see it. Now, we're not talking about James Bond mysteries and foolish things like that. That's not what we're talking about. For all other subjects, there's nothing hidden. Everything is in the open. You just have to know how to read it, how to see it. Right? It's there. And what people will face is also in the open. So that means here at COT, right, we can disclose just about everything. Everything. There is nothing that is hidden that will not be made known. And you never have to cover classified information, top secret information. You never have to cover that to see the truth. Never. We're going to know that here. I just want to tell you guys that. I'm going to help you understand Hope you understand that. Oh, and by the way, last Thursday, just so you know I'm not whistling Dixie, last Thursday, when I was with Pastor Paul, did you guys hear what I said about the people on the boat? What they should do? Well, they did that Monday. You guys know that, right? If you've been following that. Just so you know. In fact, there's been a lot of coincidences like that, wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you say? Be as wise as serpents, as harmless as doves. Know what your enemy knows, but do not utilize information as a weapon. Ever. Don't ever do that. Father will cut you off. Seek the beneficial things that your brothers and your sisters may grow by. Nothing will be withheld from you. It's your ability to utilize what you learn that will limit or reveal. You have a heart to use everything you have for your brothers and your sisters. You'll know limitless things. If you try to profit from what most want to know so badly, you're going to be very limited in what you're going to know. Folks, I'm going to see you next time right here at the Council of Time. And let's hope we get past, well, if we can get past June 5th with no incidents of continental breaks, we're going to be looking good. Just for a little while. Maybe a month or two. Maybe a month or two. If we cannot, if a continent cracks in various places, the heat is coming. But if it does not, well, that gives us another window of time to work in. Keep that in mind. God bless you guys. I'm going to see you next time right here at the Council of Time. And it's very good to see you, Angela. She came back from her thing she was doing. Very good to see you. Very good to see all of you, actually. Sister Flash, who catches all the bloopers. I have a lot of bloopers, don't I, here in COT? Do I have a lot of bloopers? I think I have a lot of bloopers. I think I had, 28 tonight? 28 bloopers. But tonight was no fair. My screen was going up and down. I felt like a squirrel. That's what I felt like. Iceland. Hey, they might show the world Iceland. They may have no choice. The ice is melting, right? That's a lot of tons of ice is melting, and things are becoming visible, right? Some countries right now are in a fix because certain things are made visible, and they're doing their best to push the populace back so they can't see it. I can tell you right now, because of weather conditions and the change in weather conditions, they cannot hide some of these mega structures from people, right? I'm going to call them mega structures, but let's just say that if it's too big, too heavy, you cannot move it. So the only course of action you can take is to cover it up. You cover it up with buildings, and you cover it up with malls, and you cover it up with large assembly hangars and large manufacturing plants, right? That's what you cover it up with. Because when people see it, then the crazies will come out. Then people are going to come up. They're going to become, nobody's talking about, that they're talking about other things. But when they find out what exists, they're going to become instant experts on what they never knew before. You got to be careful in those times because people will form these groups. They're going to fight over the information. A lot of people are going to make up things. It's going to sound legitimate. They can do that with AI now. They can do that without AI. You're not going to know what to believe. See, by gaining truth or gaining, being able to observe the impossible, right? You're going to lose trust with a lot of people. There are going to be so many different narratives and so many people who say they're authentic and this, that, and the other. You won't know what to believe. That's going to make for very tricky times. But I can tell you, ultimately, they're going to blame anything held back. They're going to blame it on you. They will start to hunt Christians in the future. Go from house to house. That they will. Just like Alexander did back in the day. Everybody, I'm going to see you next time right here at the Council of Time. It was good to join you. I'm going to straighten my eyeballs out. See if I can fix this monitor. Oh, my. You guys would laugh at my head movements right now. I'm going to see you guys next time right here at the Council of Time. Be in prayer for people, too. Especially the Navy. Especially tonight. God bless and keep you. I'll see you next time.